award to Michael Jordan.
Sometimes I feel this dream is real. The shots I make, nobody else will do.
The Bulls win!
I seem to soar, can hear the roar like mine. If I could be like mine.
Oh, what a move by Jordan!
If I could be like mine. If I could be like mine.
This is a special edition of NBA Showtime. Michael Jordan, A Champion's Journey. Here's your host, Hannah Storm.
The United Center in Chicago, where a half hour from now, the Chicago Bulls close out the regular season against their longtime rivals, the New York Knicks. The burning question in Chicago, are we about to witness the final regular season game in the magnificent career of Michael Jordan? Hi, everyone. Hannah Storm, along with John Sally and Peter Vesey, and we are looking forward to spending the next half hour talking about Michael Jordan.
We only got a half an hour to talk about Michael. This should be at least like, you know, a golf tournament. 4 days of MJ.
He would like that.
He would love it.
But this is the kind of homage that you pay somebody with the ability that he has to make millions of fans out of people who would not be into basketball if it weren't for his airness.
He certainly set a standard of excellence that even transcends his sport. And we'll talk about also tonight the game between the Knicks and the Bulls. That'll come a bit later on. Tonight's pregame is devoted to Michael Jordan. Despite all the talk that he might retire after this season, Jordan is still the best in the game and arguably the greatest ever. As he embarks on a quest for his 6th NBA title, we reflect on his remarkable career. We begin a champion's journey.
A 1-point lead for Georgetown. The time, 18. Shot, Jordan. North Carolina has won the 1982 NCAA championship.
The Chicago Bulls picked Michael Jordan.
Through a quirk of fate, he fell to number 3, and we were there and able to take advantage of it. And I think you could see early the will to win, the incredible ability to raise his game when the game was on the line. And I think after a month's time in the season that we knew we had something special.
Michael Jordan came flying out of the sky.
Here's Jordan in deep on Elo.
Oh, yeah! Oh! Look at the air. Look at the hang time. Look at the flying motion.
At the beginning, it was easy to play against the Chicago Bulls. Michael would get 40, he'd get 50, but everybody else would be standing around watching.
He's double team now. Walton has come out to meet Jordan. What a great shot, and a basket and a foul.
We had, on the Boston Celtics, the best team that year. The first game, he comes in and he scores 49 points. And so we're sitting in the locker room, we waxed him. And we're sitting in the locker room after the game saying, well, he'll never do that again. He certainly didn't. He scored 63 the very next game.
Bird saves it, but Michael steals the ball. Jordan back to the rack. Whoa!
Fans have not realized that at the beginning of Michael's career, when his game was all about athleticism, when it was all about being an individual out there, he didn't win.
In coaching Michael early, I know the one thing that really used to bother him was, you know, the Pistons at that time, it was Isaiah and his group, and Larry had the Celtics, and Magic had the Lakers, and the supporting cast they had, and all Michael ever heard about in his career was, you don't make anybody around you better. You're great, but...
You knew you couldn't conquer him. You knew you couldn't beat him. However, the way we tried to attack their team was to break down everyone else mentally, to break down his supporting parts, to more or less leave him standing there alone.
When I first came 11 years ago, we were in this gym, and I said, you know, the coach that I had with the Knicks, Red Holzman, always said that a star makes his other players better players. And all of a sudden, their value and their abilities seemed to be magnified by his presence on the court. And Doug Collins, who was the head coach, said, go tell Michael that right now. Go tell him that right now.
The inbounds pass comes into Jordan. Here's Michael at the foul line. A shot on Elo. Good! The Bulls win! They win!
That was get the ball, Michael. Everybody get the out of the way. Go to the basket.
My last year there in '89, when went into the Eastern Conference Finals before losing in Game 6 to the Pistons. All of a sudden, I think people really realized what this guy was all about, that he really was the epitome of winning.
We like the fact that we own the Central Division. We like the fact that he was the next Dr. J at that time, and he was going to be the heir apparent of the NBA, and we like quieting it all down and making him shut.
Watch Michael there just take this shot, and as it splashes, he runs through, gets the motion. Yes, Michael.
He never would stop, you know, from start to finish. He would keep coming and coming and coming. And just when you think that he was wearing down physically and mentally, he would go to another level. He just had an engine, you know, just never stopped.
I know a little story. Isaiah was upset about it because he went home and saw his nephew wearing a Michael Jordan jersey. And he didn't like that because, Isaiah was all Chicago. He was Mr. Chicago. He put him on the map. And then Michael just came in and everybody forgot that he played there.
He kept it in bounds. Here it is again.
I knew I was beat when I knew he had finally conquered me. We went to Chicago and they beat us, I think in '91, 2 games there, and we came back for Game 3 in Detroit. And I'll never forget it, we were in the 3rd quarter. He looked at me in such a way that, you know, the look that I used to have in my eyes, I now seen that look in his, and it scared the death out of me.
I was in Detroit, and I went to, between the games, I went to dinner one night with Michael. I went to dinner the next night with Isaiah. And it was like being between the 2 gladiators. And listening to Isaiah talk, he was like, you know, the king of the hill that realized that his kingdom was threatened.
I went out to dinner again that night with Ahmad, and I said, you know, I'm beat. He's got us. And from that point on, you know, once he got on top, our mentality was the same. It's a matter of conquer and destroy. And once he got it, he's never stopped since.
And once the Bulls were able to get past their nemesis, the Pistons, the championships followed. It remains to be seen which team the Bulls will face in this year's playoffs, which begin next week. New Jersey and Washington are battling it out for the 8th and final spot in Michael Jordan's career have come against the Knicks.
Michael Jordan puts on a show.
Jordan trying to shake off starts.
Michael Jordan and Xavier McDaniel having words.
Michael Jordan.
Jordan nearly fouled, and the shot's gonna fall. Oh, man.
Now, if Jordan and the Bulls were to face the Knicks in this year's playoffs, it would have to come in the Eastern Conference Finals. Early in his career, there was a perception that Jordan was a great singular talent, but the question lingered, could he lead a team to an NBA title? In the decade of the 90s, that question has been answered in a resounding manner. We continue with a champion's journey.
This is what you live for, to play Michael Jordan in the finals.
You know, I thought I was the most competitive person that I ever knew until I met Michael.
3-on-2 for the Bulls. Michael on the drive, in for the right, for the jam. The Bulls blowing the Lakers out.
The thing about Michael is the fact that he could go 1 for 50 or 1 for 20, but that one shot may be the greatest move you've ever seen in your life.
The look away to Livingston. Jordan. Oh, a spectacular move.
Man, if
You know, and that's what makes him special. That's what makes him Michael and everybody else down here.
And the Chicago Bulls have won their first ever NBA championship.
The first one was probably the most special because that was getting to that level, to become a real champion, and his father was there for that. And I think everyone after that is just to reinforce the fact that he is a champion.
Jordan against Drexler. See, this is what Michael lived for. He wanted this challenge.
Part of being a champion and part of understanding the mental psyche of a champion is that you take that away from a person before he walks into the game. You make him concede before he steps on the court that not only are you gonna get beat, but it's about how bad I'm gonna beat you.
The one thing you understand about Michael is, like, if you ever do anything with him competitively, if you're fortunate enough to beat him, you're going to have to play again that very moment.
We went at it in Barcelona, I mean, at each other. We thought we could beat each other at everything, and we tried to. Free throw, jump shot, three-point, cards, checkers, anything. We wanted to beat each other so bad.
One night in Barcelona, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Charles Barkley, Patrick Ewing. Big argument about who was the best, who was this, who was that. Magic was saying, hey, me and Larry brought this league to where it was. We're the stars, we're this and that and the other. He kept on talking. Finally, Larry Bird goes, Magic, shut up. We were, he is.
The Bulls trying to become only the third team in NBA history to pull off a three-peat.
10 seconds to go in the shot clock. 15 in the ballgame. Michael will take it. He's fouled. He scored! Superman back in the building!
You don't want to lose to him. Because you have to listen to him. You know, one thing about Michael, he takes no prisoners. And if he beats you, he lets you know it, and he stomps you when you're down. So there's nothing worse than losing to him.
To Paxson. Paxson going for the win. Here's Paxson for three. Paxson, yes! The Chicago Bulls have three straight NBA championships.
When I lose the sense of motivation and the sense of to prove something as a basketball player, it's time for me to move away from the game of basketball.
Today, Michael Jordan at age 32 tries to accomplish what no one else truly has in team sports history.
And the season is over, my friend. The Magic win it.
When he came back and when he lost to Orlando and he made a big turnover, he said that really bothered him. So every day that summer, no matter what happened, 6 days a week, he was shooting the ball, lifting weights, shooting the ball, lifting weights. And he understood that that was the most important summer, sense of summer, his arrival into the NBA.
There it is. 70 has become a reality for the Chicago Bulls. After a 2-year absence, the Chicago Bulls have regained the NBA throne.
And, you know, there's been a lot of great athletes, but this man has won at the college level. He's won at the Olympic level. He's won now as a pro. He's tasted it all, and he still can't get enough of it.
We're down to 2, now to 1. Here's Jordan. Yes! It's all over. The Chicago Bulls have won at the buzzer.
You know, if you look at the finals, you go, okay, you got this team against that team, but they have Michael Jordan. He'll will this team to win. And that's what you have to beat. You don't have to beat the Bulls. You have to beat his will. And I don't think that at this point in his life that's possible for him to do.
Michael Jordan playing despite flu symptoms. Pippen making Hornacek. Here's Jordan. Yes! It looks like he's a boxer just hanging on along the ropes.
Basketball today wouldn't be where it's at, you know, if Michael Jordan hadn't come along, and he and only he, you know, could take it to that level.
What I want to tell fans is set your VCRs now because once he goes, that's the only thing you're going to have is the memories and all the plays, all the joy that he gave us, because it won't be another one, that's for sure.
The challenge, and this scoring title provides just that. Michael needs 28 points to get his average tonight. That will force Shaq to have to score 47. Michael wants to win the scoring title. We talked to Phil Jackson earlier. Phil told us that he'll see how Michael feels, and if Michael feels like he wants to put up more than 28 numbers, he'll let him do it, and it'll be a great way to end the regular season.
Now, tomorrow, when the Lakers play at home, they have to keep in mind they can't distort the game just to get Shaq's numbers for him, because if the Lakers win, coupled with a Seattle loss, then the Lakers win the Pacific.
Well, Bob, Shaq is a winner also. He does not have the championships as of yet, but his Laker team is in the hunt, and Shaq is capable of huge numbers. We have seen a 50-point high, 43 points last night, so we know he's capable of putting up big numbers. He has also been there before. The last game of the season in 1994, Shaq had 32. David Robinson came back with 71 to win the title. David Thompson posted 73. George Gervin got the last shot, 63. He won the title. The one advantage Shaquille has is he knows what Michael was going to do tonight, so he'll get the last shot tomorrow. He'll know exactly what he needs to win the title.
Knicks and Bulls tipping off in a few minutes. Right now, back to Hannah in New York.
Thank you, Bob. And there's certainly the potential for Michael Jordan to have a big game against the Knicks. He already has 2 40-point games against New York this season, both of them coming at Madison Square Garden. John Sally has a unique perspective on the subject of tonight. Michael Jordan, you were part of the Pistons teams that knocked Jordan's teams out of the Eastern Conference Finals, and also a teammate of his, winning a championship with the Bulls in 1996. What about those legendary off-the-court practice habits?
Well, like you said, we did knock them around, too. We knocked them more than just out of the playoff race. We hurt them a couple of times. But I remember, like, Michael would always get up at 8 o'clock in the morning with his trainer, and he lifts weights before everybody else. Probably when I was rolling over thinking about what I was going to have for breakfast, he was pushing up about 220 pounds. But one time we were practicing, we were going to have a scrimmage. Phil Jackson forced him not to practice. He had on canvas tennis shoes, which proves it's not the shoes. And he put Dennis Rodman, James Edwards, and myself on the same squad to scrimmage, and Michael tied up those canvases and said, I'm playing. And I literally saw Superman enter the building. He took off to dunk on me, and he just yelled, block this, big man. And I said, you know what? I called my mother and said, Ma, I just played and saw the greatest player ever. And she said, it took you this long to realize it. But I did.
And who won the scrimmage?
Well, Pistons, you know.
Anyway, Peter. You know, John got the job here with us because he played with Michael and against him.
That's right.
That's right.
Hey, everything helps now.
You owe everything to this man.
I got you.
You covered Michael Jordan his whole career, had the privilege of doing so. What are some of your favorite memories?
Well, Hannah, like everybody else, I've stored up a number of memorable memories that watching him over the years. But the thing that stands out most in my mind is when I went down to Orlando when he was playing baseball. And all I could think of when I was watching him play right field and shag a fly every 3 or 4 innings and get up to bat 3 or 4 times and strike out was what a waste of talent. How deprived we were that year, and then the next year for most of it, not seeing the greatest talent in my estimation in basketball. But hold the weeping, Hannah. I think, at least I suspect that we've got a few more memorable moves left in Michael during the playoffs.
Yes, the playoffs which begin next week, and who will his team face in the first round? Well, it's a final. Washington has beaten Boston 112-95. That doesn't mean the Wizards qualify for the 8th spot. Still need some help from the Nets and the Magic. If both those teams lose tomorrow, Washington will play Michael Jordan and the Bulls. If not, it will be the New Jersey Nets. Now, before we send you to Chicago for the Bulls and the Knicks, one final look at some images of Michael Jordan through the years. We'll see you at halftime.
He's the Messiah in a red uniform with a bull on it.
Michael does things through the air.
Jordan's a different kind of cat.
I think that Michael has to be rated probably the greatest ever at what he can do.
He always lets you know that it gets down to the 4th quarter, we win, because I'm Michael Jordan. Pretty hard to argue with.
There's no next Michael Jordan.
Coming out smooth. I want to be like Mike. Has one goal: to keep his team together. A team that has won the NBA championship in the last 5 full seasons in which Michael Jordan has played. a team that has become one of the greatest dynasties in the history of sports. But the future of the Bulls remains uncertain, which is why every remaining Bulls game is something to savor. Tonight, Michael Jordan plays in what could be his final regular season game, and he plays it against the New York Knicks, an opponent Jordan has tortured over the years, a team that barely avoided a first-round date with Chicago, and so a team that could be facing Michael Jordan for the last time tonight. The Knicks and the Bulls next.
This is the NBA on NBC. Tonight, the New York Knicks versus the Chicago Bulls.
Another sellout at the United Center, a foregone conclusion tonight as the 82-game grind, which is the prelude to the playoffs, comes to a close. This game is not without some meaning for the Chicago Bulls. They have the best record in the Eastern Conference. They're a game behind the Utah Jazz overall, and even should they catch them, the Jazz has the tiebreaker. So if they meet in the final, Utah would have home court. But Chicago wants to hold off Seattle, just a game in front of them, and the Sonics would have the tiebreaker against the Bulls, and thus Chicago wants to win in order to ensure themselves home court should they meet the Sonics in the finals. Is all that clear? With Doug Collins and Isaiah Thomas, I'm Bob Costas. The Bulls not long ago had a 13-game winning streak. Now they have lost 3 of their last 5, and some people say they're a tired club at this point and more vulnerable, although they're still the team to beat, more vulnerable in the minds of some than they have ever been as the playoffs loom.
Well, Bob, as we talk about the Chicago Bulls, we've had so much focus on Michael Jordan and the scoring championship. I'd like to talk about Michael Jordan, the ultimate winner. And if you look what he has done with this team over the last 3 seasons, they have won 202 games. Compare that to the Larry Bird team, the great team of the Celtics, that won 192. Now, with that said, the Chicago Bulls do need some rest. They are a tired team. It has been a grind. They've taken 82 shots this year to get where they want to get, into the playoffs, where they once again can have fun and go for another title.
For the game, I asked him 3 questions. The first one was about the scoring title. He said he realizes how close it is with he and Shaquille O'Neal. He'd like to win it, but he's not going to do anything out of the ordinary to try to go out and make a big number tonight to try to win it. The second question was about them not winning the home court advantage throughout the playoffs. He said, well, in this situation, it puts all the pressure on Utah, because if you have the best record, you're expected to win the entire thing. He said Houston proved that wrong a couple of years ago. And in the same breath, he also said they want to win tonight so they can have a better record than Seattle. Now, another question I asked him about this being the last game of the NBA season, would this be his last appearance? He said he is tired of talking about that. His focus is on winning a championship. Sometime next summer, he will make that decision. Bob?
All right, Ahmad, and we're underway with the tip controlled by Chicago. Here's Kukoc to Harper. He and Jordan have started every game this year. Michael wasting no time, but missing the game's first shot. Charlie Ward. Good game the last time the Knicks played the Bulls. 13 points and 15 assists at the Garden. Chicago has won all 3 meetings of this regular season between the 2 clubs. Allen Houston. Head fake on Pippen, but Michael over on the dump. And they strip him of the ball. Harper finding the cutting Kukoc, slapped away by Buck Williams, but a foul. Let's look at what Michael Jordan has done of late. Between the 21st and 40th game of the season is where he was the most productive. A little bit misleading as we look at the 29-6 over the last 20 games, because in the last 4 or 5 he hasn't shot especially well, and he has admittedly looked tired.
Bob, as we watch this game unfold for New York, I think one thing we should really focus in on, they have got to be able to get good shots early in their offense. If they let that clock get against them, they will have a very difficult time scoring 85 points. Allen Houston really their only big scorer. So let's see if they can get some early offense, easy scores that will help them stay in this game tonight.
1 of 2 for Kukoc. Chris Mills makes it 2-1 New York.
See, with the smaller lineup that the Knicks have, they'll be able to drive the basket, take people off the dribble, and get into the lane and free up Allen Houston and Chris Mills for open shots.
On the drive, Michael is fouled, and it appears as if his idea is to come out and see if he can get off in this first quarter, put up some numbers before halftime, and not have to worry about protecting the scoring title.
Well, Michael's been struggling lately with the shot. I believe that he's trying to come out early and establish a rhythm and get himself ready for the playoffs. He's been struggling a little bit at the free throw line. He's also been struggling with his jump shot. He has a scoring title in the back of his mind, but I really think he's more focused and concentrating on his rhythm right now.
You got to look briefly at some of the big games he's had at the expense of the Knicks. He's topped 50 against them 4 times in his career.
You know, Bob, part of that is their philosophy. They single cover him early, wait for double teaming him later in the game, so he will get big numbers against you. What you try.
So much speculation about Michael Jordan retiring, and everybody has come up with their Michael Jordan moments, and one of them is my main man, Spike Lee. Mike, give me some of your Michael moments.
We'll have a lot of memories doing all those commercials, Mike. As far as games, the famous, infamous double nickel game where he killed us at 55. But it seemed like every game Michael played the Knicks, he was killing us.
And you being a big Knicks fan, you'll probably be happy to see him go.
No, I want Michael to play as long as he wants, even if he continues to kill us. I mean, I hope he doesn't leave right now at the top of his game. It's a shame what Krause and Ryan supposed to do it. I don't understand it.
All right, we would be remiss to not talk about you have a film coming up with another NBA star.
Yes, the film is called He Got Game. It was made first. Ray Allen, Rick Fox, Travis Best, John Wallace, Walter McCarty, all the guys, Denzel Washington.
Yeah, you know, I was available for that, too.
It cost too much.
All right, back to you, Bob.
All right, thanks, Ahmad and Spike. Terry Cummings, the veteran, just in. His reverse shot ties the game at 29, but not for long. The turnaround by Michael gives the Bulls the lead again and gives him 6 points. Houston missing on the run. The rebound to Dickie Simpkins, making his first appearance. Mills on Jordan, gets around him, but misses from the baseline. Stark skies to clear the boards, and then kicks it in.
You can always tell when Michael wants to get into that post. That's when he's thinking about scoring. That's the comfort zone for him. When his shot starts to drift on the perimeter, he goes to the post, so he's not getting double teamed. He gets that little medium range shot, or he can get to the basket and get to the free throw line.
You know, the beautiful thing about Michael Jordan is that he can score in so many ways, and he's so smart with it also.
Randy Brown drew the foul, almost had the three-point play. The shot popped out. He comes to the free throw line. Well, for the sake of argument, these are the early returns. If Michael stopped right now, and he scored double figures in 839 consecutive games, so it's unlikely he'll be halted at 6. But even so, Shaq would have to exceed his average. He'd need 31 to overtake him. No doubt that Shaq, in terms of scoring, is ending the season stronger than Michael.
Allen Houston picked up his 3rd foul on the last play. Randy Brown did a very smart thing. Allen running beside him, and Randy Brown really just lowered his shoulder, got contact, put the ball up on the basket, and Allen picked up another touch foul. That's his 3rd. He's going to have to sit.
The very thing Jeff Van Gundy was most concerned about. Childs to Cummings for his 2nd basket.
Dribble penetration hurts Chicago. If you can attack them, they don't have a shot blocker. That's 2 straight layups by Terry Cummings, simply off guard penetration, the drop off and the lay-in.
The Knicks are within 1. Michael brings it back to 3. 8 points for him. In pursuit of his 10th scoring title. 9 is already the record. Wilt had 7. Chris Mills connects.
The Knicks have good ball movement right now. Their spacing is really good. They have the court spread. They're playing really good right now. And this is the exact way that Van Gundy wants them to play.
The feed to Kukoc from Michael, and Tony was fouled.
Michael Jordan loves to get into that mid-post area. Great footwork, the fading jump shot. You cannot get to that. Beautiful release, 2 points.
Bud Light. For the great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light. By Honda. Vehicles designed to help simplify your life. And by IBM. Solutions for a small planet.
Bulls lead the Knicks 34-33 with 9:44 to play in the first half. Michael Jordan has hit his first couple of shots in this second period after a slow start in the opening stanza. Allen Houston you saw with 11 points to lead all scorers, but he's already picked up 3 fouls. Kukoc, 18 points and 9 assists last night in Philadelphia, just his second game back after a short stint on the injured list with a bad foot. Luke Longley still out on the bench in street clothes, but obviously he'll be on the playoff roster. How effective he'll be come Friday, we don't know.
But that's one of the concerns for Chicago. They have so many injuries, and if they can't get healthy going into the playoffs, then they're too small a basketball team to compete with the likes of an Indiana and a Miami.
Starks. Rebound Simpkins. Jordan with single coverage. Starks trying to contend with him. And he fouled him.
That's the one thing you never want to do is foul Michael Jordan shooting a jump shot. You cannot get to that shot. The only thing you can do is get a hand up. He's fading away. And if he makes the shot, you say, Michael, that's why you're the best. But John Starks hits him on the elbow. Michael's starting to feel a little frisky now. He got into the post, got a couple scores. And I think anytime he sees John Starks, his adrenaline level rises about double what it normally is.
Let's go to Ahmad again.
All right, Bob, I was talking to Michael about his struggling at the foul line, and he told me it was a technicality. He said that he really wasn't into his rhythm, and sometimes his left elbows seemed to fly out. So I asked him, was he spending a lot of time working on it? He said, no, this is one thing that I don't want to spend too much time thinking about it, because then it becomes mental. I just have to get over it and start making more. Bob?
Thanks, Ahmad. The Knicks fumbled the rebound of Michael's missed free throw out of bounds, so Chicago retains it. But not for long. You know, they talk about this being a great rivalry, and it has been because of how passionate it's been. And even when they've lost, the Knicks have certainly made the Bulls work for it. And there have been some great moments in this series. But the fact remains that Chicago has won 11 of the last 15 regular season games between the two, and 5 of the 6 playoff series in which these two teams have pitted against each other since 1989. Terry Cummings, along with it, rebound Jordan. And the only series the Knicks won, they won in 7 games in '94 when Michael was playing baseball. Scoop shot by Michael.
And even then, when the Knicks won, the Bulls talked about a questionable foul on Hubert Davis in Game 5 of that series that the Bulls thought should not have been called, and the Knicks went on and won that in 7.
It's a great rivalry because they compete against each other. New York, they will compete against Chicago.
Starks hits the back iron, and Kukoc comes away with it. Takes it off. Finishes it coast to coast.
He is such a tough matchup because he's 6'11", and he can actually guard the post. If you guard him with a bigger player, they cannot keep him from getting to the front of the rim. So Tony Kukoc is always a nightmare matchup, regardless of who he plays against.
With Chicago on a 7-0 run, establishing the game's biggest lead to this point, New York asks for time.
Well, Michael Jordan starting to get his legs in the game. You see the beautiful finger roll, and then Tony Kukoc, coast to coast. No one stops the ball, and Tony says, if you're not going to pick me up, I'm going to get the easy 2.
Michael heating up after a slow start, intent on making Shaq's work more difficult tomorrow, if not impossible. Even if Michael stops now, Shaq would need to score 35 against the Jazz to win the scoring title. Childs on the run. Randy Brown away with it.
This is danger time for New York. They're down 8. They get a double-figure deficit. It's going to be tough for them to come back. They just can't score enough points.
Michael had it knocked away. Still Chicago ball. Shaquille O'Neal, of course, did win a scoring title, but a lot of people think there's an asterisk after everything that happened when Michael wasn't in the league.
Bob, I think if Shaq would have played the whole season, he definitely would be the scoring leader and would win the scoring title this year.
If he made a few more free throws, he'd have it locked already. Kerr for 3 with a hand in his face, and it's way off. A shot clock violation. It didn't draw iron, so a 24-second violation.
Bob, that's one of those things, as a player, you go, hey, thanks, Randy Brown. Throw me the ball out here 47 feet from the basket and beat the clock. That'll help my field goal percentage. You take it next time.
Did you ever do that to anybody you played with, Joe?
Because I didn't care if I missed.
No conscience. Nick turnover, but Randy Brown couldn't hold on to it, so New York gets it back. Bowie. Nice reverse off the quick inbound from Childs.
Tony fell asleep, Kukoc fell asleep, and Bowie beat him with a back cut.
Brown around Starks, and John bumps him.
See, free throws already a factor in this game. New York has only been to the free throw line 5 times, or 4 or 5. Chicago already 18 free throws. They're 12 of 18.
Jordan from Kerr, and Bowie fouls him from behind. Tomorrow, the NBA on NBC concludes for the regular season, starting at 3 Eastern time with Showtime. Then most of the country sees the Jazz, owners of the NBA's best record and home court advantage as long as they're alive in the playoffs, including in the finals if they make it that far, against Shaq and the Lakers. Others will see the Sonics and the Trailblazers. The Pacific Division title and the NBA scoring race could come down to the final day on NBC. Here's what the Lakers and Utah have done head-to-head this year. LA winning 2 of 3. They conclude their regular season business tomorrow at the Forum.
How about, though, all of a sudden Los Angeles looked like Seattle had it right in the palm of their hand. Los Angeles with a win tomorrow. Seattle lost. They could win. They could win the Pacific Division. What a tremendous honor that would be for that young team.
Mills for 3, missing. And Simpkins fumbles it out of bounds. The Lakers have won 10 of their last 11, concluding on a strong note.
I think the Lakers are the most dangerous team in the West right now. More so than Utah, because if you count the number of games that Shaq missed, and if Shaq is healthy for a full season, I believe they have the best record in basketball right now.
Isaiah, the one thing I disagree, I think Utah is such a fine-tuned team through the playoffs. They just play so well off of each other. They have such the great experience. I think in a playoff series, Los Angeles' inexperience and youth will hurt them against a team like Utah if they face each other.
And look at Seattle. Up until last night, when they lost at home against San Antonio, and Utah was able to win at Phoenix, Seattle had a good chance to claim the best record overall in the West and home court throughout, including against Chicago in a possible finals matchup. But now it's possible, should the Lakers win and Seattle lose on the road at Portland tomorrow, that Seattle would fall to the 3rd seed and have home floor advantage only in a tough first-round matchup, a best-of-5 against Portland, and after that, be on the road against everybody else.
But when you get into the playoffs and you got such a dominant force such as Shaq in the middle, and you got the perimeter play, when they're perimeter guys of Eddie Jones, Nick Van Exel, Fisher, when those guys shoot the ball well, it's going to be very difficult to beat them in a playoff series because of their energy and because of their youth.
Well, youth has positives and negatives. Kerr from Simpkins. Kerr on the drive, lays it in.
So that's where you miss a guy like Patrick Ewing. They have absolutely no shot blocking in the game right now. Chicago is either taking the ball to the basket and getting fouled or getting to the front of the rim and scoring easy layups.
A lot of the Knicks' size and muscle on the bench across the way in street clothes as Cummings forces one up and banks it home. Larry Johnson, Charles Oakley, Chris Dudley, Patrick Ewing, all in street clothes across the way.
Well, we know if Charles Oakley was in the game, there would be some hard fouls in the lane, that's for sure.
Chicago's lead is 7. Jordan, who scored 13. Can't increase it. Out of bounds to New York. Speaking of the Lakers, although they're playing very well now and dispelling some of the doubts, some people say, you know what? Kobe Bryant, an X factor with the ball in his hand in crunch time in important games. And Shaq, of course, at the free throw line late in the game makes you wonder. That's where the doubts come from. Simpkins on Cummings. Whistle before the shot. An illegal defense against the Bulls. Their first. Nick ball from the side.
Bob, I just like the way L.A. is playing right now. They're confident, they're strong, and, you know, Karl Malone has struggled from the free throw line also a little bit.
Chris Childs with his first field goal. Knicks back to within 5. A lot of whistles in this first half.
You know, this is sort of out of character for New York to get up the floor and really guard like they are. They usually don't play like that against Chicago. Their defense is more at the three-point line, maybe extended a little bit. It's almost like they're trying to get up and make Chicago really work hard, but they're not doing it very smartly. They're fouling too much, and Chicago's going to the free throw line and really living at the line this entire second quarter.
Anthony Bowie picked up his third. Jordan now with 14 points. Buck Williams, who started the game at center, comes back in. Bowie, who like Houston has 3 fouls, goes out. Bulls by 7. Jordan with 15. Chicago opens the playoffs at home Friday night against either the Wizards or the Nets. Cummings all the way to the hoop.
Terry Cummings goes left. He's done it for 14 years. He's going to continue to do it. Little ball fake, drives the ball right to the rim, and again you see no shot blocking, the easy score.
Terry's been such a positive addition to the Knicks basketball team. He brings experience, he brings wisdom.
Judd Bushler just in, misses his first attempt. Ward over Jordan, way off. Gathered in by Buck.
Now with Buck Williams and Terry Cummings out on the floor, you'll see the Knicks start to pound the offensive boards because Chicago is so small.
Jordan in and out off the glass. The Knicks are back to within 3 and they have the ball.
They're doing this with Allen Houston, their leading scorer, on the bench the majority of this time.
Cummings to the cutting Mills. Bushler got a hand on it. Mills sticking with it. And Pippen finally clears it for Chicago. Ward with the interception. Mills and the Knicks are within 1. What does playing well tonight, even if they don't win, what does playing well tonight mean to the Knicks? They're locked in at 7. They know they're going to play Miami.
I think that when you go into the playoffs, you want to be feeling good about yourself as a team. You want to know that you can get contributions from all parts of your bench. And that's what a game like this is for, Bob. They have to go deep into their bench, and guys are getting a chance to play against the best tonight.
Now you watch the Knicks pound the boards. Buck Williams will get the rebound and lay it in because Chicago is so small. And then the steal of Charlie Ward will bring it up court, and he will drive to the basket again, and Mills for the easy lay-in.
See, Chris Mills is a scorer now. He had a big year in Cleveland before he signed as a free agent with Boston, so he's capable of giving you 17 or 18 points. And he's been one of those guys that they've had the luxury to bring off the bench because Larry Johnson really started the season as a small forward. Oakley is the power forward, Ewing is the center. And now he's starting to get some minutes, and his numbers are starting to go up.
Doug, when you look at this New York team, if they can get into the second round and you look at Ewing, Johnson, and Oakley added to the mix of what's out on the floor, they could be a very dangerous team in the playoffs.
My only concern about that is how will they adjust to Patrick coming back without much practice? That will be a little bit of an adjustment period, especially if you have to do it in the midst of a tough playoff race.
Well, I think they need his presence more so than his points.
Jordan was fouled as he missed the shot. He's done most of his damage in the course of scoring 17 points at the foul line. He's 9 of 10 at the stripe, 4 of 11 from the field.
See, that's the mark of a great scorer. If he's struggling offensively from the perimeter, he understands how to get to the foul line. If he's not shooting the ball well, he'll go inside and post up. That's what makes him such a great scorer, because his game is so complete.
Another way of looking at Michael's career, and his field goal percentage has fallen, as has his points per game, but still the best in the league in the latter category.
You know, when guys step away from their sport like Michael did, the first thing you wonder is, will he have that competitive edge when he comes back? Would he lose something being away? I think the one thing that really helped him was the fact that he played baseball, and it was such a challenge for him. He might have had to compete more in that sport just to be average.
Also, to add to that, Doug, I think the fundamentals that he has definitely helped him also, because as you get older, you lose your jumping ability, you lose your speed, but now he's able to rely on his fundamentals.
John Starks continuing to struggle, missed the jumper, then Ward was fouled on the drive, and will be back.
Had him sealed on his back, and Scotty couldn't do anything but foul him.
The Nets still get in if they beat the Pistons tomorrow, and they can back in by losing if Charlotte also beats Orlando. Because in a quirk, the Nets win a 3-way tie for 8th and lose a 2-way tie for 8th. Go figure. Cummings from 20.
See, the high screen and roll has hurt Chicago. They had Buck Williams on the inside open that time. They missed him, and they swung it right over to Cummings for the jump shot.
Chicago's lead is 3. Jordan, jumper over Starks? No. And Steve Javie spots a foul.
The lack of depth that Chicago has up front, Doug, really concerns me going into the playoffs, because after Longley and Rodman, they have nothing big behind them.
I think Phil feels pretty good that Luke is going to be back and be okay. And I also know that just being around Michael Jordan, he has unbelievable recuperative powers. A couple days away, and he is the energy source of this team, Isaiah. I think he will be fired up and ready to go come Friday, even though right now he is a little tired. There's no question about that.
See, you never worry about Jordan or Pippen, because they will get it going. But when you're dealing with mental fatigue such as this in a championship team with a run that they've had, you worry about the 5th guy to the 12th man. Those are the guys who usually break it. When you're going into a championship play, you need 1 through 12 to give you their heart and soul.
The game a little ragged for the last several minutes. Neither team shooting especially well. And another foul is called.
John Starks out of the double team. Michael made the strong cut, and John Starks just grabbed him. Now, see, Michael Jordan has played against so many double teams in his career. Many guys pass the ball and stand. Look what Michael does, busts right out of it. The guy has to grab him. You're in the penalty. You go to the free throw line and shoot 2. But through his career, Michael has seen double teams, triple teams, and he realizes once he gives the ball up, if he'll make a hard cut, sometimes that's when he's most deadly.
And that's the amazing thing about him, because he has played against double teams and triple teams throughout his career, but yet he's able to still score 30 and 40 points a night.
Well, he has 21 now. He's hit 13 of 14 free throws and just 4 of 12 from the field. He's pretty close to putting the scoring title away. A few more points and he'd put Shaq in a spot where he'd have to score 50. Cummings hits from the baseline.
He's been the breath of fresh air for this team tonight, scoring points, keeping them in the game with Allen Houston on the bench.
But Cummings is at home. He's from Chicago, and he's showing off for his family who's probably in the stands.
Bushler from Jordan. Cummings up on the glass. Starks with a world of time. Go ahead, John.
That's too much time. There's no way he makes that shot. He was mugging for the crowd instead of just catching it and shooting it in rhythm.
And the crowd had enough time to taunt him, to dare him to shoot. Jordan.
I see with Starks taunting the Bulls like that, he got Jordan's attention. You don't want to get his attention. You just want to keep him quiet throughout the night.
Michael with a 23-point first half. Charlie Ward for 3. And the Knicks draw to within 2.
He's really improved at that facet of his game. First couple seasons in the NBA, was a very poor shooter. You could back off, give him space, go under screens. Now, he could step up and make that shot.
Seven seconds. Jordan between 2 defenders and fouled again, so he'll have a chance to actually be on pace for 50 for the night. He could end the half with 25 if he hits them both. The race, such as it is drawing to a close. If he does anything at all in the second half, speaking of Jordan, Shaq is cooked.
You know, that might be good from the Lakers' standpoint. Obviously, Shaq would like to have a chance at that, but with a division title at stake and a young team, you don't want to lose your focus for the scoring title when that Pacific Division title is by far the most important thing tomorrow.
A 25-point half. A second and a half, and that'll do it. Chicago 57, New York 53. Stay tuned for the Prudential Halftime Report coming up after these messages. As you all know, you're watching the NBA on NBC.
Game, you see the Knicks, they have balanced scoring with Cummings, Houston, and Mills, and the others have 20 points. When you look at Chicago, on the other hand, Jordan is the guy who's carrying the load. He's making free throws. He's shooting the ball well. But the other guys are going to have to pick it up a little bit in the second half.
And that second half is just around the corner. The Bulls in front by 4. You're watching the NBA on NBC.
4 on the shot clock now. Keeps it on the dribble. Here he is. Pull up 18-footer. Yes! And the buzzer! This is incredible. Nothing like the playoffs.
Ahmad Rashad back at the United Center where the Bulls lead the Knicks by 4 at the half. Jeff Van Gundy very happy with his team, said they kept the pressure on. What they want to do is turn up the intensity a little bit better because he feels like they can stay with this team because Chicago's playing so small. On the other hand, Phil Jackson saying that they were okay offensively but very disappointed with them defensively, gave up way too many points. One adjustment he wants to make is to put Dennis Rodman on Buck Williams and not so much on Terry Cummings. He also told them that look for them to use up all their fouls on Michael during the second half. Bob?
Well, let's continue to follow the story, which is rapidly becoming no story, the way Jordan is rolling up the points. If somehow he's blanked in the second half, Shaq still needs 45 tomorrow against the Jazz. If he keeps it going much beyond where he is now, he takes it out of the realm of realistic possibility.
Well, Jordan wanted to come out and have a good first half, so the second half he won't have any pressure on him to go out and score. He can take his time right now and let the game come to him.
Knicks in possession as the second half begins. Harper on Ward, Mills with the screen for him, and Charlie hits.
Scottie Pippen goes right into the post against Allen Houston and tries to pick up the 4th foul.
Harper rolls out for him, gets his own rebound, and Houston comes away with it for New York. Chance to tie or take the lead with a 3. Bowie evens it at 57.
Again, the dribble penetration, you bring the defense, you get it to collapse, you pitch for the open shooters. Charlie Ward did an excellent job in the first half, and so did Chris Childs when he came in off the bench.
Pippen traveled with it.
Now, Charlie Ward really understands the point guard position right now, Doug. You referenced to it earlier. When he first came into the league, he really didn't understand the position. He's grown into it, and he really understands it. He's very smart about it, picks his spot, and has a great tempo about it.
Houston from Ward. Nothing but white shirts underneath. Kukoc has it. Michael around Bowie. New York touched it last. Anthony Bowie making just his 3rd start of the year, averaging 2.3 points a game prior to tonight. He's scored 10 so far. Michael, 27.
That's an indefensible shot. He gets in such great rhythm. The leaping ability just rises right up over the top of you and shoots the ball.
Mills answers at the other end, tied again at 59. Michael with room, 29.
Now, it'll be interesting to watch if Jordan continues to play, because Phil Jackson told us earlier he'll talk to Michael and see how he feels, and if Michael wants to pile up the numbers, he'll let him go.
Michael Jordan is so good off the basketball, but again, when he wants to get comfortable, he goes into that low post. He looks over his shoulder, feels the defense, and always goes away from pressure. And then he uses the screen. The next time down the floor, he sets up Anthony Bowie, waits for the screen to come to him. Great footwork. Allen Houston was late switching the play, and he gives up the open shot. You've got to make that automatic switch, Isaiah. You've got 2 small guys out there. That should be automatic. No communication that time.
Michael Jordan, the #1 scorer of all time. And before you get to him, when you click off 5th, 4th, 3rd, and 2nd, you're just about calling the roll of some of the great players in the history of the game.
Well, as I said, I didn't get a chance to play against Wilt Chamberlain or any of those guys, but in my opinion, Michael Jordan is the best to ever play.
Michael trying to guard Houston, who hits the turnaround over him.
That's the maturity of Allen Houston. 2 years ago, Michael would have stepped out and played him. He would have gotten rid of the ball. This time, he says, I'm going to take the challenge. You have to play me, too.
That was a great cut by Tony Kukoc. He read the play right. He came over the top of the screen, and he was hit with a nice feed for an easy lay-in.
11 for Kukoc, and Mills is fouled at the other end.
Houston has accepted the challenge. The thing that you like about Allen Houston is not only that he can make the outside J, but he can put it on the floor and create his own shot.
His average increased after Ewing went to the sideline in December with a broken wrist. He has 13 tonight.
You know, if there's any ray of sunshine to the Patrick Ewing injury, I think it's the validation of Allen Houston in New York as an outstanding player. He went there, he tried to fit in. When Patrick got hurt, you almost saw it at the end of last year, became much more aggressive. He's a primary offensive threat, and next year they're going to have to make an adjustment because he and Patrick are going to have to be able to share that duty.
Houston turns 27 on Monday, so he should just be entering the prime of his career. Pippen, quick turnaround. +1.
Allen has 3 bad fouls tonight in a game that he has to stay on the floor. He has a touch foul on the perimeter, a push in the back on Tony Kukoc, and now this play right here against Scottie Pippen. Again, cardinal rule, don't foul a jump shooter. Scottie's fading away, get a hand in his face, and then just try to rebound the basketball.
And 4 fouls overall for Houston. He's arguing it with Bill Spooner.
With Allen Houston being in foul trouble, the guy that it helps most is Michael Jordan, because now he doesn't have to work as much defensively. If Allen is out there and he's playing, he has to run through all those screens and use energy.
See, I like the move that Van Gundy's making right here. He's letting Allen stay in the basketball game because he's teaching him how to play while he's in foul trouble. Because as you go deeper and deeper into the playoffs, your best players are going to be in foul trouble, and they're going to have to stay out on the court.
Pippen completes the three-point play. Buck Williams, Charlie Ward, Chris Childs, Chris Mills, and Allen Houston on the floor for Jeff Van Gundy right now. Ward from just inside the three-point line. Loose ball to Harper. Rodman's pass deflected. He and Mills chase it to the side, and it belongs to Chicago. Pippen guarded by Houston to the left hand.
Now Pippen being very smart, knowing that Houston has 4 fouls, took him down into the post, knew he couldn't guard him.
Mills over Kukoc at the other end.
Bob, you see the game plan, though. New York is coming down. The first shot that presents itself, they're taking it. They're not getting into a grinded-out game tonight because they have a small lineup.
And so this is going to be different than your usual 85-80 Knicks Bulls game. Kukoc short with it. Recovered by Harper. The basket doesn't count. Chicago foul on the rebound.
Yeah, there was a foul on Harper. He was holding Charlie Ward underneath the basket, and he flung him out of the way, and Bill Spooner, the official, caught it from behind. Now Harper would try to spin him around and get away from him, and he slings him out of the way, and Spooner caught it from behind.
Allen Houston to the foul line, bumped. The basket doesn't count. Before the shot. Rodman's second foul of the night.
You know, when Allen was first drafted by Detroit as a rookie, his body was so frail and so thin. When he went to the Knicks, he really worked on a strength and conditioning program, and he's improved his body. And now he's able to take the bumps.
Chris Childs. Buck Williams gets the roll. Knicks hanging in, down by 2.
You get a sense that the Bulls are just going to play along with New York right now, and at some point, maybe for 5 or 6 minutes, say, let's lock down and win this game. Right now, they're just exchanging baskets with them.
Knicks can tie it. Ward to Mills, gets it back, lays it in.
See, if I'm Chicago, I'm very concerned right now with this being the last regular season of the game, of the season. You got to go into it and play as hard as you can.
More basketball.
We'll have a little fun here with some animation. This is one of New York's favorite plays, the screen with Allen Houston coming out of the corner. Now let's look at it, what it looks like on the floor. Here you see Allen Houston. He's going to come off this screen. Michael Jordan reads it. He steps back. They hit him, and he drives the ball to the basket. They love this little corner screen. They call it 42, and it's Allen Houston and Stark's play to get the ball into the middle.
And in recognition of this look inside the game, Miller Brewing Company will donate $1,000 to the Thurgood Marshall Scholarship Fund. Allen Houston has managed to get off only 9 shots tonight. He spent some time on the bench in foul trouble, but you believe, Zeke, he's got to hoist it 20, 25 times to be truly effective. Kerr Doesn't take nearly that many, but hits most of those he does shoot.
Yeah, I think Allen Houston going into the playoffs, particularly in a game like tonight, he's got to get up 20 to 25 shots a night for the Knicks to be effective in the playoffs.
Bulls by 2 again. Here's Houston. His 10th shot is there to tie it at 70.
That was just a great feed by Charlie Ward. Put it into a scoring hand. Charlie Ward has 11 assists right now and no turnovers.
Pippen looking for Jordan, but then taking the shot himself. A dozen for Scotty, who missed a game earlier this week with what was diagnosed as a kidney infection. Says he feels okay now. His second game back. Houston, quick turnaround. Buck Williams with the tip.
Again, another great feed by Charlie Ward. He's running a clinic on how to punch it into the post. Even though Allen Houston missed the shot, he was right in the scoring rhythm for Buck Williams to get the tap in.
Scott Burrell, short with the 3. Ward grabs the rebound. Weaves his way back up court. Another assist. This time Williams, the beneficiary.
Phil Jackson cannot be happy. This is not the way the Chicago Bulls defend you. Layup after layup, not getting back in the transition game. And Phil cannot be happy with what he's seeing right now.
12 assists for Charlie Ward. His 3 is good.
You know, last week when we were in Seattle, we talked about the guards taking the ball on the fast break to the sideline. You see Charlie Ward keep the ball in the middle, and he creates so many options for his teammates.
Mills just inside the three-point line. Misses badly, but Buck Williams is there. To play in the third as Childs drives the lane and is fouled. Now next Sunday on NBC, from Hallmark Entertainment, a motion picture event, Merlin, Sam Neill, Isabella Rossellini, Miranda Richardson, Martin Short, and Helena Bonham Carter star in the world premiere of Merlin. NBC next Sunday about a former defensive lineman turned flower salesman. Or perhaps not. That was Pippen's 4th foul. Scotty to the bench. Childs, if he makes the second one, can tie it.
I think the Bulls in this next possession are going to try to go into their open set. And what they do, they open the floor up, and they usually put either Kukoc, Michael Jordan, or Pippen at the foul line, try to hit him and let him play out of an open middle. Let's see who they go to on this possession.
Burrell out top, 8 on the 24. And Michael is fouled by Childs. The other night in Detroit, as they met at center court before the game began, Michael Jordan said to Joe Dumars, well, this will be the last time we'll go at each other. And he wasn't referring to a Dumars retirement because Joe has announced he'll come back for 1 more year. And then when the game was over, Michael said to Joe, it's been a good battle, hasn't it? Make of that what you will.
Yeah, Joe and Jordan, those are 2 great warriors, and they're 2 great professionals, and they've done so much for the basketball, and they've meant so much to that Detroit-Chicago rivalry.
I think the guy sitting beside me didn't have a less role in that either.
Anthony Bowie.
I can't believe I'm sitting this close to you. I used to hate you.
How much?
Enough to have Rick Mahorn throw me over the scorer's table.
Now, did you hate me because I was good, or did you hate me because I was a pain in you know what?
Or both.
Well, you were both to me.
Jordan over Bowie. Somebody got a piece of it. Mills coming over to help out. Chicago ball from the side. No foul. Deflected out by New York. Michael doesn't get the roll. Rodman battling for the rebound. And a New York foul.
You notice we have not mentioned Dennis Rodman's name much tonight, and you would think in a game like this he would really be a guy on that offensive board that could make a lot happen. Dennis is just sort of going through this game tonight, not with the normal energy that you normally see from him.
Buck Williams picked up his second foul. And it's still Chicago ball. How much concern, if any, should the Bulls have about Rodman in the playoffs? Last year, he averaged better than 16 rebounds in winning another rebounding title, but he was only around 8 rebounds a game in the playoffs and pretty much taken out of it in the finals by Karl Malone.
See, I think they have to be very concerned about Dennis Rodman right now, not because he's playing power forward, because they're playing him at center now.
Jordan has 31.
And he's expended so much energy during the course of the regular season because they don't have the depth in the bench that when he gets into the playoffs, he's going to be a very fatigued player also.
Nearly a week off coming up, though, for the Bulls, and that's essential. They don't play in the playoffs until Friday, and of course it's at home. Buck Williams hits.
See, I think last year Dennis Rodman wasn't right most of the time. He had a bad knee. If you remember, he hurt his knee. I don't think he ever had the bounce in his step last year. I think that frustrated him, and I think that caused him a lot of problems that you won't see this year.
Burrell turns, fires, and misses. Kerr has it.
See, New York just cannot get a rebound.
Kukoc with the smaller man Bowie on him. Tries to take advantage, but can't. Burrell is there. No energy for New York there in that sequence on the boards. And finally, Charlie Ward comes out of the pack with it. Houston pulls up, but misses. Hold on. A whistle from Bill Spooner. After this last basket, if you're keeping track, Shaq needs 50 even if Michael stops right here.
Again, no switch on this play. You see Allen Houston should be switching on that play. Take him off that catch and shoot. It's too easy for Michael Jordan.
Back after this from your local station. You're watching the NBA on NBC. So Chicago and inside the United Center. Here are tonight's leaders, but there's another story for the Knicks, Doug.
Well, Bob, they're an interesting team, New York. When we talk to Jeff Van Gundy, this team really lives and dies with their shit. You have to like their chances of being able to steal a game like this on the road like they did this time last year going into the playoffs.
Jordan on the drive, hammered. He has 31, and now a chance to add to it.
Now, Michael will read the double team, and what makes him so effective is that he's able to drive the ball left and right. 4 Knicks defenders come at him, and he's able to put it up under their arms and draw the foul.
When New York is healthy, their team defense has always been Oakley slide over, try to take the charge. Patrick Ewing, you try to block his shot. So he's seeing someone step in and someone try to challenge his shot. That's the way they've always defended Michael in the past.
Michael now 17 of 18 at the line tonight. Game tied at 79. Charlie Ward on the drive.
That was great patience by Charlie Ward. Now, he saw that play sitting there for about 3 seconds, and he waited for the screen to come, set Steve Kerr up, and then drove him left.
10 points for Ward, but Zeke, as Kukoc launches one and misses. How about these point guard numbers for Ward? Ahead to Mills, who hits the basket. So, make an adjustment on the number. That was Ward's 14th assist, and he has no turnovers.
Whole floor.
You know, talking to Allen Houston last night, I asked him what was the difference between playing with Charlie Ward and Chris Childs, and he likened it to Joe Montana and Steve Young. Montana would hit Jerry Rice on the run, where Steve Young would hit him right in the middle of the numbers, and he'd have to turn and run.
Jordan, floater in the lane. 35 for him.
I wish I was that tired. Don't you, Bob?
He looks exhausted, doesn't he?
He scores so easy. You know, he can do so many different things with the basketball.
Houston. Buck Williams recovers it and hits a tough spinning shot.
Now, this is a very important game for Chicago. They need to win this basketball game to stay ahead of Seattle and Los Angeles.
How about the ageless Buck Williams? He has a dozen tonight. Michael. They gave him room, and he couldn't cash in.
I really like the way New York is playing going into the playoffs. They're very confident. They're moving the ball well. And the perimeter players are playing so much better now.
Mills muscles one home, but he traveled. So they take the basket away. The Knicks, though, lead by 5. Michael Jordan with 17 free throws made tonight. That's his highest figure of the year. Prior to tonight, his top free throw total was 16 on opening night against the Celtics. Dickie Simpkins. Kukoc gives it up to Michael. Last 5 seconds on the shot clock, that is, and Michael is fouled. Just under 8 seconds to play in the quarter.
Now, Michael's staring Bowie down, and he crosses him over, and watch as he gets his balance off of one leg, fades right into the jump shot, nothing but net, runs down the court and say, yeah, okay, I'm starting to feel a little bit better tonight.
See, he's got that shot that you come across the lane. I always thought that was such a lethal shot, and why more guards don't do it. That little running one-footer in the lane where you're really squaring yourself and you're almost shooting a long layup, but it's such an easy shot if you'll practice it. Michael has it perfected. I'm surprised more guys don't go to that because it's an in-between game rather than have to stop and try to plant yourself.
Doug, he's so complete, there isn't a shot in the game that he doesn't have.
Houston racing back and getting the bucket for New York in the final 2 seconds. Houston now with 17. Ward intercepts, may get a shot off, beats the buzzer, but can't can the 3. How many does Shaq need now, you ask? A mere 54.
He needs 2 games.
We'll be back after these words from your local station. You're watching the NBA on NBC. As they have at various points in this game, has worked pretty well for the Knicks. Childs and Ward. Here comes Pippen. Burrell, now Michael. Timeout New York. Tied at 98. Michael with 39. For a game that supposedly didn't count for much. Pretty good show. You were talking about Wilt in a different era. He scored over 50 122 times, but for most of the rest of the world, 55 seems pretty much out of the question, and it looks like Michael has put a lock on the scoring title. Here's his most recent 2 just before the break, tying the game at 98.
Well, the Bulls are really a selective running team now. They'll run off deflections, they'll run off steals. And that time, Scottie Pippen does a nice job of keeping the ball centered in the floor. Burrell runs the lane, and Michael, the 3rd man down, and the powerful finish. And the Bulls have tied this game.
How about the great scorer that Jordan is? He smelled the scoring opportunity, ran the length of the floor, beat everybody down court to get that easy dunk.
Charlie Ward, who's played a great game, 10 points, 15 assists, 7 rebounds, and only 1 turnover. In control for New York, finding Bowie, who's gotten an opportunity with a start tonight and has really made the most of it. He scored 16.
Now, interestingly enough, the Bulls have lost 4 games in here this year, and 3 of them they've given up 100 points or more. That's 100 for New York. Let's see if that will be the barometer tonight.
Jordan, it pops out. The Knicks making a game of it, not only without Ewing, not only without Dudley, but Oakley and Johnson didn't suit up. Chris Mills misses the 3. And on the scramble, Burrell gets rid of it to Pippen. Kerr, this is what he likes, and that's why, but the basket does not count. And Phil Jackson comes hopping off the bench, more animated than you generally see him. He sprinted, or as close to a sprint as he's capable of these days, to midcourt.
Bob, the thing Phil is upset about, normally you do not stop the play to call a technical foul unless you see that there is no advantage. The Bulls had a fast break. That's what he's upset about. Steve Kerr hits the three. Normally then you would stop and call the technical afterwards, not before.
So Kerr, who might have been deprived of the three, instead will shoot the technical here. Let's see if we can pick up what happened. Mills tried to trip Rodman here, and that's the reason why he was teed up. Knicks by one. Pippen gives Chicago the lead. 21 for Scotty.
Allen Houston's got to be the man now in these last 3.5 minutes. He has got to be unbelievably aggressive for his team to win.
Mills from Houston. Rodman and Pippen had him sandwiched, and Mills comes to the line. And Phil Jackson may have just picked up a technical.
Now, Steve Javie is not an official that you want to mess around with. He will tee you up quick, likes to keep the game under control. Don't mess with that guy there. That's one of the quickest teeing referees in the league, Doug.
Rodman screening for Jordan. He takes on just about the whole New York defense to bring his total to 41.
And that was a great screen by Dennis Rodman because he really knocked the guy off the play.
They got it cleanly, and Rodman saved it in.
Pearl shoot a three. They got to get back to him. Michael will look for him.
Jordan didn't get the roll. The lid would have come off this place if he had. Jump ball.
Now watch the screen by Rodman. He'll clean Bowie out, puts his body on him, which frees Jordan up for a one-on-one against Buck Williams as he goes around him and lays it up.
Buck Williams is slow getting back there. They want to ice the screen roll down baseline, but Michael gets to the middle, and the Buck Williams can't get up there and trap it, so Michael just beats it with his quickness and gets it to the basket.
Meanwhile, Chris Mills picks up his second technical and is invited to leave early.
So you can credit all of that to Dennis Rodman. When he got involved with Dennis Rodman and the pushing and shoving, that's what Rodman is really good at. To get inside your head, make you react, make you do things that you don't want to do. He's walking off the court right now, and Rodman is still playing. Those are the mind games that the Bulls are capable of playing, and what Dennis is so good at doing.
Let's go to Ahmad. He was close by.
Yeah, Bob, on Chris Mills' drive to the basket where it was blocked by two Bulls players, he felt like that was a foul, and that's what he was arguing about, and he argued just a little bit too long with Steve Javie, which could be short.
We know what you mean. Kerr converts the technical. The Bulls by 2. Over the course of this rivalry, the past decade or so, there haven't been too many games between these teams where both clubs were in triple digits.
But that's what's great about this rivalry, Bob, is the competition. You know, people like to see people compete. And whenever you watch New York and Chicago play, you see teams competing.
Houston couldn't latch onto it. Chicago ball.
It's a high screen roll with Michael Jordan once again. Scottie Pippen will make the split, and then they'll go to a screen roll.
Michael with 41, the 12th time he's topped 40 this season. It looked like he might have gotten away with a walk. As it is, he's fouled. Van Gundy realizing that just about always Michael gets the benefit of the doubt. And Bowie now has fouled out after a 16-point effort. Must-see TV for sure. Look at that lineup on Thursday. All new episodes. Ticking down to just a few for Seinfeld and company. That's Thursday on NBC. And if this is the end of the run for Michael, these playoffs coming up, that's definitely must-see TV of a different kind. Only his second foul line miss tonight. He's 19 of 21. Burrell goes out. Kukoc back in. The Knicks enter this game, of course, without Ewing. They've been without him since December. Johnson in street clothes, Oakley in street clothes. Now Bowie has fouled out, and Chris Mills has been ejected. Talk about playing with a short deck. Jeff Van Gundy will have to be very resourceful and a little bit lucky. We'll be back. For that last promo, all at one time. More than a nation should have to deal with. Maybe no Seinfeld, maybe no Jordan. All in 1 year. America struggles on. This could be his last regular season game. Let's look back at his first one, October 26, 1984, against the Bullets, as they were then known. The NBA's career leader in points per game debuted with 16 that night, 5 of 16 from the floor, 6 of 7 from the line. He played 40 minutes, 7 assists, 6 rebounds. The Bulls beat the Bullets 109-103 back in '84. Ward makes it a 2-point game.
There's the double team. Scotty's going to be wide open for the shot.
But he can't hit it. It was halfway down and came out. And as Ward grabbed the rebound, there's a foul on the play. I thought for a second that Ward was calling timeout.
Well, Steve Javie showed great patience here because Chris Giles really should have gotten a technical foul for what he did after the play. And Steve Javie watched him the whole time. And the reason he didn't give him to him is because the score, he did not want to determine the game with that. But you see Chris Giles and Michael. Now watch Chris Giles, and you see him get upset. That normally warrants a technical.
So now Michael, who's hit 20 of 22, goes to the line with 24 seconds remaining.
We talked about the PhDs for Chicago earlier, and Rodman, Jordan, Pippen, and Harper. Jordan all night long has found a way to manufacture points on the free throw line.
44 points for the game, exactly half of them at the line. Ward into traffic. Off to Cummings. And the Knicks refuse to go away. Got a foul if they don't steal it right away. Kukoc grabbed by Childs with 7.3 on the clock.
See, Allen Houston didn't take the foul on Tony Kukoc the minute the ball was thrown in because Allen has 5 fouls. But you've got to take that foul. You cannot let 8 seconds burn down, even if you foul out of the basketball game.
Now, with Chris Giles fouling out, he needs to be very careful that he doesn't voice his opinions to the referee while he's sitting on the bench, because these same officials you're going to see in the playoffs.
Kukoc is a 70% free throw shooter. He can just about put it away if he hits the next one. Timeout New York, but they trail by 4.
The great thing about Michael, too, is he has unbelievable recuperative powers. In 2 days, he'll be ready to play. He'll be itching to get into the playoffs.
And it really goes back, Doug, to his love for the game, his passion for the game. He's not a guy who plays it for the money, the glory, or anything else. He played basketball simply because he loves to play.
Seven seconds. Cummings got to get it away quickly. Wasting some time with some fakes. They get the bucket, but at the buzzer, it counts. And as has so often been the case with the Knicks against the Bulls, they come close, but they fall short. Possibly his last regular season game. He ends with 44, meaning Shaq, if you're still keeping track, needs 59 tomorrow against Utah to overtake him for the scoring title. And the Bulls sweep all 4 games they play against the Knicks this year. Michael is with Ahmad.
All right, thanks, Bob. Michael, we talked about the scoring title before the game. You said you weren't going to do anything special, just go out and play a game. 44, that was kind of special.
Well, I made my free throws. That's another point that you talked about, too. You know, I've been working on my free throws a little bit, and tonight I got fouled quite a bit, and I just went to the free throw line very confidently and knocked down the free throws, and you know, that was most of my points, I'm pretty sure.
You guys win tonight, but you sort of struggled towards the end of the season. Is a week enough time for you to turn it around and get ready for the playoffs?
Oh, I think so. I think the problem is that we hadn't had practices at all, and you know, our rhythm and our continuity has totally been out of whack, and you know, now we got a week to get ourselves in shape, you know, game shape, and get some of our guys healthy and get some practice time to get our rhythm back. And defensively, we seem disoriented out there a little bit, and I think we have to get that back a little bit.
So many people talking about this being the last regular season game. Is this your last regular season game? I'm not going to ask you that question, but you can tell me if you like. Okay, so then it is a question.
Actually, you know, I'm just taking it game by game, and you know, right now nothing's been etched in stone, and you know, everybody's just trying to enjoy the moment. Whatever happens next year happens, you know, and there's a lot of speculation going on right now, but nobody knows, and you know, I think time will tell.
All right, so you relax a couple of days, get yourself together. We'll see you next Sunday. All right, back to you, Bob.
Interesting technique employed by Ahmad, but Michael doesn't fall for it. If you told Jeff Van Gundy his team would shoot 53% and score 109, he would have thought that might have gotten it done, but it wasn't enough. Tomorrow at noon Eastern on NBC Sports. Don't miss final round coverage of the PGA Seniors Championship.
He gets tipped away by Michael Jordan. His defensive game certainly has not lapsed if you watch some of the things he has done early this year. And then Jordan from the baseline also winds up on his backside.
But the man's gone up and down the floor like twice, and he comes and pulls up from the corner, falling down. He's still a joke. He's still a cruel joke on the rest of the players in this league.
Steal at one end and points at the other. Kobe now working on Hughes. Double team comes late, and Hughes thought he had all ball, but it's a foul.
I don't know about that one. Great timing by Larry Hughes. Hughes is an athletic two-man, and he has long arms. He has the ability to get to those shots. Here's Jordan. A little in and out over Kobe Bryant. Got to step up and help Derek Fisher. And there's Michael Jordan fading away. That's vintage MJ.
Kobe 2 of 4.
He can still get it done, John. We talked about Kobe Bryant had 41 last night for his ninth 40-point game in his career. And over 420 games, Kobe has 9 40-plus games. Michael Jordan, with 420 games under his belt, had 98.
Yeah, it is something that's hard to believe. Michelle, Kobe would just like to see the big guy next to him, wouldn't you?
Absolutely, and Shaq is expected back next Tuesday at home against Atlanta. He says he's 85%. The team says he's day-to-day. He is expected to practice Sunday and Monday, be evaluated after Monday's practice, but they're saying no